I envision the fight in my head probably a million times. I win, but it's just different scenarios how I win. I just prepare myself mentally for a 12-round grueling fight. I love it to be a first-round knockout or a third-round knockout, but mentally I'm always prepared for a 12-round war. In my head, I want a one-sided beatdown.
He been having a lot to say, especially recently, and I don't do that. Like, you gonna talk shit about me, and I'm gonna say stuff about you. I'm not finna, when the camera's not around, we see each other. We, hey, what's up, man? And it's all buddy. Like, nah, it's wartime, it's time to go. We both signed a contract, so we can dap each other up after the fight.
Yeah, One.
Errol Spence Jr. really picked the most chaotic possible moment to walk back into boxing because 1 minute, fans were casually watching Mitt work clips thinking, okay, he still looks sharp. And the next minute, the entire boxing world started acting like somebody leaked classified documents from inside a secret fight lab.
Let's go. Go up. There you go. There you go. So you are taking Tommy step. This is the next punch order. Foot to the side. Put it. You go backwards and that's the way. To the side. Good boy. Beautiful. Take a boost and swallow it up. One in first. That's it. All the way out. Punch through the mid.
Because suddenly reports suggest Spence is flying all the way to Australia to fight Tim Tszyu on July 26th. And people are not just nervous. They're acting like this comeback has turned into a full-blown boxing conspiracy unfolding in real time. And you can literally feel the panic spreading across the internet. Because this is not some soft comeback against a random opponent nobody's heard of.
Like you said, everything. Yes. That's why I gave so many guys so much. I know.
No, allegedly Spence looked at the entire super welterweight division and said, give me the angriest Australian with daddy issues and knockout power immediately. And somehow it gets worse. Because fans expected a tune-up fight, maybe a safe return, maybe somebody ranked somewhere between retired and Uber driver. But instead, Spence skipped all that and walked directly into Tim Tszyu territory like a man who either knows something the public doesn't or has absolutely lost his mind. And that's where the whispers started getting loud. Because online speculation is now painting this entire comeback as bigger than boxing. People are saying this isn't just Errol Spence Jr. trying to win another title.
And we'll have our fighters now get ready to face off.
Face forward, thank you. Out back by the TV cameras first.
Right, guys.
And down in front, please. Now you can face off, please. All right, I think we're good. Thanks, fellas. Errol will be on the...
Allegedly, this is a desperate resurrection mission after the Crawford loss completely shattered the image of the old Spence. And let's be honest, that Crawford fight didn't just end with a defeat. Fans still talk about it like they witnessed a live public system shutdown. Ever since then, Spence disappeared, stayed quiet, dealt with injuries. The car accident history resurfaced, the detached retina conversations came back, and people genuinely wondered if boxing had already seen the final chapter of Errol Spence Jr. But then, out of nowhere, boom.
You know, it was just me waking up and deciding to come back. I mean, you know, you get, you know, reserved, you know, thoughts about, you know, question yourself, do you want to come back or do you? But, you know, that day was more like, yeah, I want to come back. It was 100%. So, you know, that's why I went with.
Why?
It's great. I like it. You know, I'm learning in the gym. You know, it's 24/7. Like I'm just learning something. I feel like my brain is working too. You know, not only just going through the motions and just working on stuff that I've been working on for, you know, 10 years, 15 years. It's learning new stuff. And, you know, I feel like a kid again in school, just learning new tricks.
Training footage leaks, Roy Jones Jr. suddenly appears in the conversation, Jermell Charlo's name starts floating around camp rumors, and now everybody's acting like some underground Avengers team is secretly rebuilding Spence in a hidden gym somewhere. And you won't believe this part because Roy Jones Jr. allegedly thinks people are underestimating Spence badly.
Tim Tszyu confidently suggests that facing him without a tune-up fight may be a difficult challenge for Spence, believing the timing could make the bout especially demanding.
Do you think Errol made a mistake by picking you in his comeback fight?
Yeah, it's definitely not recommended, you know, to go straight into the firing line. It would have been better to start off slowly, but, you know, on his caliber, he feels like he doesn't need tune-ups, which is fair enough. But yeah, it's going to be fireworks from the opening bell.
Roy basically came in sounding like the final boss of optimism, saying Spence still has the IQ, still has the instincts, still has the ability to compete at elite level if he finds rhythm again. But critics immediately fired back saying rhythm is hard to find when you've been away from boxing for what feels like 3 presidential administrations. And honestly, the footage only made the debate messier. Because yes, Spence looks healthy. Yes, the power still flashes. But fans also noticed moments where the timing looked slightly off.
And didn't want to shake his hand.
It's a lot, just, you know, him being just dismissive. You know, just saying little things and, you know, how he gonna retire me and just saying little stuff. And, you know, man, this at the end of the day, this is a war. I'm coming into a foreign territory. You know, he's coming to retire me and, you know, take my name, and I'm coming to foreign territory and, you know, conquer his stadium, conquer his country. So I don't think there's no need for just shaking hands and ha-ha, and then next thing you know, we trying to knock each other head off. Like I told him, I'll shake a hand, give you a hug after the fight. But right now, it's game time. It's worth
off. The reactions slightly delayed. The explosiveness not fully there. Not terrible. Just enough for boxing Twitter detectives to start posting slow-motion clips with dramatic music like they're solving a murder mystery. Meanwhile, Tim Tszyu is over there acting like a man who smells weakness in the water. And this is where the story takes another wild turn because reports suggest Tszyu's camp has transformed into a full family dynasty operation. Jeff Fenech joins the corner. Kostya Tszyu reappears. Suddenly, the training camp starts sounding less like preparation and more like a Rocky sequel directed by emotionally unstable millionaires. Tim is allegedly reconnecting with his father during brutal Thailand camps, talking about becoming unbreakable. And fans immediately started romanticizing the entire thing, like boxing just discovered anime. But don't get distracted by the inspirational soundtrack, because underneath all that emotional storytelling is a terrifying reality. Tim Tszyu genuinely believes Errol Spence Jr. is showing up at the perfect time to be hunted. And according to online speculation, Tszyu's confidence right now is bordering on villain behavior. He's mocking the inactivity. He's reminding everybody that Spence hasn't fought in years. He's allegedly telling interviewers that Spence has no idea what's waiting for him at 154 pounds, and honestly, the psychological warfare alone is getting ridiculous, because every interview feels like both camps are trying to convince the public they already know the ending before the fight even happens. Then Robert Garcia entered the conversation and somehow made everybody even more uncomfortable. Garcia straight up questioned why Spence would skip a comeback tune-up fight entirely, and when a respected trainer starts publicly sounding worried, fans immediately start spiraling, because now people are asking the question nobody wanted to say out loud. What if this comeback is happening too fast? What if the pressure to stay relevant forced Spence into a dangerous shortcut? And this is where the narrative completely flips again, because some analysts are now arguing the exact opposite. Greg Hackett came in with a theory that honestly sounds insane at first, until you think about it for 5 seconds, and suddenly it becomes terrifyingly believable. Hackett claims Spence might actually become better at 154 because the brutal weight cuts to 147 were allegedly draining him for years. So now boxing fans are stuck in the weirdest argument imaginable. Is Errol Spence Jr. a broken former champion hanging on to the past?
I'll say it right now. Tim Tszyu, we've seen all of the talks about him bringing Errol Spence back into the fold. I think the game misses Errol Spence. I think boxing needs Errol Spence. And I like this fight, and I like the fact that Tim is obviously coming off a win.
Even though it's not a current champion, like Errol Spence probably wanted, when he first started talking about coming back, he wanted to fight Sebastian Fundora, which now everybody's looking at, he's a hard guy to fight.
Wait a minute.
But that's how Spence is,
No tune-ups.
Right, but even though he's not fighting a champion, Tim Tszyu ain't a tune-up.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? He's actually a very skillful fighter. He just has some losses now. Losing to Fundora, getting stopped or whatever, that hurt him a lot. Even though Spence only has one loss, they're both in the same boat where they need a good name now to put him right back on top, because they're right, especially Spence, you're right there.
I wouldn't disrespect Spence like that. I know you're not doing that, but they're not in the same boat. Errol Spence lost to arguably one of the greatest fighters of all time.
I understand
and that's his only loss.
And I think he can get a big fight no matter what.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tim Tszyu got to prove himself. But yeah, Errol Spence can have a big fight straight off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, he reigned at 147 for a very long time. And look,
was on the pound for pound
list. He's taking a longer break than I guess people anticipated, or that people even want. But let that man, let him do what he needs to do in order to get his mind right back into the sport. I'll say it right now, and you can take it to the bank. I'm just saying.
Take it to the bank.
I think Errol Spence would be too much for Tim Tszyu. I think this break is going to serve Errol Spence well. I'm so keen on that. I just think that he needed this break, and we're going to see a great break.
Or is this secretly the beginning of his final evolved form, and the internet cannot decide? One side thinks Tszyu steamrolls him because inactivity kills fighters faster than age. The other side thinks Tszyu's pressure-heavy style is literally custom-made for Spence to rediscover himself. And that's where Sean Porter and Zab Judah added fuel to the fire. Because according to them, Tszyu's aggression might actually help Spence. They're basically saying Tszyu moves forward too much, exchanges too willingly, stays in front of opponents too long. Which sounds brave until you remember Spence built his entire reputation bullying fighters exactly like that. Suddenly, fans started revisiting old Spence clips like archaeologists uncovering forbidden technology. The jab, the body work, the relentless pressure, the bulldozer rhythm. And for a brief second, the internet collectively started asking, wait, what if everybody forgot who Errol Spence Jr. actually is? But then, boom.
Here, but in the scrum, there was some commentary about just asking Errol, you know, why are you here? Why are you doing this? He says that the fire never left. You met with him. What did you glean from your conversation with him?
Fire never left. You know, he's like he told me, he's been moving, he's been active. It hasn't specifically been boxing, but in his mind, and I'm inclined to agree with him. I've been moving. I've stayed away from the negative vices that I've had, and I've just been with my family. He seems like he's in a good, positive space, and I think that for him, for some of us, this is work. For other people, like some guys really love this thing and can't live without it and all that kind of stuff. I think for Errol, it's like a little blend of both. Like he loves boxing. He loves this aggressive, physical nature of this sport, and on top of that, he get to make money doing it. You know, so I think that when he says, you know, well, when the question is presented to him, why are you here? The answer for him is, I can still do it, and I still like it.
Another twist crashes into the story because people also remember something else. This fight is in Australia, and fans are furious about it. Some commentators are calling it disrespectful to a former American superstar. Others claim this proves Tszyu's team controls the entire negotiation. Some blame PBC money issues. Some say boxing politics forced Spence into enemy territory because there were no safer blockbuster options left. But regardless of the reason, the optics are wild. Because now the comeback already feels stacked against Spence before the first punch is thrown. New country, new weight class, long layoff, dangerous opponent, massive expectations. It's almost too cinematic to be real. And the craziest part? Both fighters desperately need this win. Tim Tszyu isn't just fighting to win. He's fighting to rebuild momentum after setbacks damaged the aura around him. Meanwhile, Spence is trying to pull off one of boxing's most dramatic reinventions ever attempted. This isn't just a fight anymore. Fans are treating it like a referendum on survival itself. And allegedly, the deeper you look into the camps, the stranger everything becomes. Because reports suggest Spence has been focusing heavily on balance, movement, even gymnastics-style training methods to adapt at 154. Gymnastics. Errol Spence Jr. Somewhere Terrence Crawford is probably watching all this unfold like the calm, final boss who already completed the game. And that shadow hangs over everything. Every interview, every training clip, every prediction. Nobody says Crawford's name for 5 minutes before somebody brings him right back into the story because the boxing world still hasn't emotionally recovered from what happened in that ring. Which creates the biggest twist of all. What if this comeback isn't really about Tim Tszyu at all? What if Errol Spence Jr. is actually fighting the ghost of the Crawford loss more than the man standing across from him? Because once you notice that, the entire narrative changes. Suddenly, the Australia location feels symbolic. The dangerous opponent feels intentional. The lack of tune-up feels almost personal. Like Spence allegedly decided the only way to erase humiliation was to walk directly into chaos and survive it publicly. And now fans are split between calling it courageous, reckless, legendary, or completely delusional. One last attempt to prove the old monster still exists under all the damage, silence, and doubt. And honestly, that's why this entire situation feels less like a boxing match and more like a live psychological thriller disguised as sports entertainment. Two fighters, two careers hanging by a thread. One trying to reclaim dominance, the other trying to reclaim identity itself. And somewhere in the middle of all this chaos, fans are starting to ask the question nobody can answer yet. What if Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence Jr. isn't actually a comeback fight at all? What if it's secretly the beginning of boxing?